We made it through last night's round relatively unscathed with 1 to 4 inches of rain. Just imagine if the temperatures had dropped before that. The light icing in the hill country didn't cause any major issues, but unfortunately tonight we still have another round to go. That's why we have the ice storm warning in effect for Williamson, Travis, Hayes counties, points west to Burnett, Llano, Gillespie, and Blanco counties for up to a ½ inch of accumulation, and that is enough for tree limbs to go down and power outages to occur. If you're not in the ice storm warning, you're not much better off. Mason County, as well as Milam, Lee, Fayette, Bastrop, and Caldwell counties under a winter storm warning until noon, where you could see between a tenth to as much as a ¼ inch of ice accumulation. Here's the big picture just to give you the lay of the land. It is 5 in Amarillo. It is 26 in Austin. And we're watching as the next round of wintry precipitation isn't quite here yet, but we're seeing ahead of it some spotty light freezing drizzle already happening from Lockhart and Luling to Rosanke, Bastrop, and on toward Giddings, with more to come. All right, so we talked about how we are dealing with the ice storm conditions. We're not alone. There are millions of people that are also watching as the ice accumulation has the potential to just add extra weight to tree limbs, make streets slick. I cannot stress to you enough how big a deal this is and how much I don't want you to be traveling tonight. But the good news is by about 8 in the morning, this is out of our hair. It will be pushing off to the east. Here's a look right now, as mentioned, of the temperatures. And what I'm tracking is probably by about 7 to 8 p.m. So another hour to 2 hours is when we'll start to see all of that mist and drizzle and precipitation that freezes on contact push all across our entire area. That's 8 o'clock. Here we go to 11 o'clock. We may have a several-hour period where it is steady freezing rain, just coating surfaces and roads and trees and power lines. Here we are at 4 a.m. And finally, by about 6:30 in the morning, we're seeing the tail end of the storm. It moves out. There may actually be a couple of snow flurries on the other side of this. Okay, so that gets us through the potential for ice. Here's a couple of computer models, and honestly, they're kind of low compared to what I think we have the capability to see. Most of them are showing between a tenth to maybe a third of an inch of ice accumulation. I do want to point your attention, though, to this one, which I think is more realistic. It's giving a ¼ inch of ice to Austin, a ½ inch to Georgetown, about 4/10 of an inch to areas like Burnett. So plan on this being the potential, and that would mean numerous trees down, possibly power line damage, and roads becoming impassable at times. And we haven't even talked about the cold. Extreme cold warnings are in effect. Take a look at this. Tomorrow morning, a record 20 degrees, 15 in Llano, 23 degrees in LaGrange. And that's the temperature. The feels like temperature will be in the single digits and maybe close to 0. So when we put all the pieces together, the ice happens overnight. Tomorrow, we see a high temperature of only 30 degrees. We're at 34 for a high on Monday. So that means we went to freezing at 11 a.m. today. We don't get above freezing until afternoon on Monday, could be even later in the hill country. And I've got freezes 6 of the next 7 days. Another thing I'm watching next weekend, it's not